I'm Chelsea with the Fat Quarter Shop, and I'm here in Portland at Spring Quilt Market with Joanna of Fig Tree.
Hello.
Can you give us a little tour of your booth?
Yes, absolutely. So the collection that we're featuring this time at market is called Honeysweet. And this is a good example of the collection because it has a little bit of everything in it. And this is a jelly roll pattern called Clovers and Jam. And so this gives you a little bit of a sneak peek of basically all of the tones. There's the raspberry red and the olivey green and an aqua, a little of a brighter orange than normal for us, and a taupey brown, and of course our creams. And we've added in kind of this peachy, soft peachy color right here behind that we think just kind of, it adds a lot to the group, kind of softens it a little bit, but it's definitely a fall flavored line, although it's really a year-round kind of group.
The florals.
Yeah, it's definitely got florals and the mosaics and some little prints and some geometrics, and it's a good mix of stuff. You can see the some of those peachy prints here on this little pillow stack. So that just, it kind of, you could totally go Christmas with it if you wanted to, like that one.
Pair the raspberries and
exactly, yeah. So that's one of our new patterns. And then if you kind of come around the booth, we went a little bit modern on a couple of our quilts this time. This is a more masculine, boy flavored, or guy flavored quilt. Just says love you more on the bottom. You know how in so many families people say love you more, no love you more. So that's kind of, we do that too. So, and then it just has some zigzags on the top. And this is a layer cake pattern called Painted Ladies, and it's all butterflies. And then we have two table runners. We've kind of started a table runner series. So we did a couple last time. We don't do them with those Moda candies or charm packs. And so we did another one. This can be done with 4 of those Moda candies or a charm pack. And it's called Honeysweets. And then I'm going to turn this way. And then the other table runner is way over there, but I don't know if we'll get there. Yeah, that's the other table runner. It's called Lifesavers. And and it's made out of a charm pack. And it's a real fun method to avoid applique because, there are those that love applique, but there's a lot of people who do not. So it's basically like a giant pinwheel, and then you just sew a cream fabric circle on it and flip it. So it kind of avoids that whole part of it. And then here behind us is probably our more traditional pattern for this time around called Sweet Caroline. No templates, all strip pieced. And then probably my favorite in the group, Cherry Pie. Using all those raspberries and greens to create kind of simple
little cherries.
Yeah, but the cherries, and they're all pieced, so you can, the block this is the block right here, and so you can put it into a quilt like this or put it on a pillow or something. And then we have a couple small items here right in the front on this ladder. We have our new bag. It's called the one-piece bag. And it's literally one piece of fabric all the way around, and then just 2 gussets set in on the sides. And while it's flat, the handles are added to it in a big loop. So it's really a really good, simple,
easy, simple bag pattern.
Exactly. And then we have this. We did with the new Moda hexagon, what do we call it? Honeycombs.
Honeycombs,
right?
Yeah.
We made these little tiny honeycomb bags, and out of one, it has stuffing in it, but
you can fill them with anything.
Exactly. With one honeycomb pack, you can make 5 of these. So
great gifts as well.
Exactly. It's a fun thing to make for your friends. And I think that's everything.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit about your inspiration for Honeysweet?
Yeah, absolutely. We live in Northern California in the Bay Area, and a lot of my collections are a mix of some kind of a town near us. We love to go to Sonoma and Napa Valley. So
understandably.
And then we also have a flea market that's we go to once a month, and we find all sorts of. So this is kind of a mix. It was inspired by an old vintage quilt that we found at the flea market, and then also Napa, our travels in Napa. A lot of our fall collections end up being inspired by that because we go there kind of for our little getaways. So it's always in the mix.
And can you tell us about how you learned how to sew, your background in sewing?
So, I knew how to mend socks and that kind of thing from my mom, but that was it. And the first year my husband and I were married, I had a little bit of extra time. We moved to a new place, and I literally walked into a quilt store at the mall, like in one of those old, enclosed malls, and said, I want to learn how to quilt. And they didn't have anything at the time. They said, well, why don't you sign up for a drop-in class? So I thought someone was going to help me. No, it just meant that they gave me a machine to sit at. So I opened a book and taught myself how to quilt.
Yeah.
and the rest is history.
And do you have an all-time favorite fig tree collection?
That is such a hard question. We go back and forth. Like our spring collections are a little bit lighter and brighter, and our fall collections are a little bit warmer and more saturated. So if you asked me in the spring, I'd probably have a different answer than the fall. But right now, I'm going to say Strawberry Fields was my all-time favorite. I have the most stuff out of that, I think, still in the house.
In your house?
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of your projects around your house?
Yeah, there's certain things when people call for trunk shows, I say, sorry, that's not available. But what I should say is it's not available because it's on my wall. So
we're not taking that one down.
Yeah, you're not taking that one down, yeah.
And how did you develop your design aesthetic?
Well, we've developed along the way. I think we're working on our 30th collection, fabric collection for Moda, and we've been designing patterns for 10 years. So it's kind of, it's changed over the years, but I love kind of the feel of the fabrics, that they're fresh, but they look like maybe they could have been old.
Yes.
So that's kind of my design aesthetic, is trying to join those two, kind of the feeling, the reproduction and the older, but making the colors feel fresh. And it has been kind of a process for me. I always did some kind of art before I started quilting and working with fabric, but it's kind of, all of that energy went into fabric when I started doing this, and I'm not exactly sure where it started. People ask me I'm from Poland and we emigrated when I was 8. People ask if that's in there somewhere, and I think it probably is, even though I couldn't identify it necessarily. But I know I get a lot of my design aesthetic is from our area, living in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm always looking, and yeah. So
yeah. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us, Joanna.
Thanks for coming by.
For more information, visit us on our website at www.fatquartershop.com.